Hi everyone, I'm Alex Coffey, and I'm going to walk you through my proposed curation of my exhibit, Nobody, which is an exhibition dedicated to the exploration of posthumanism in contemporary art. This exhibition features the work from Mangechi Mutu, Hiroshi Sugimoto, Lee Boole, Wim Devoyer, and Matthew Barney. It would be featured in the Audain Gallery, and it's designed to be walked through in any order because there's no narrative through line. But I will be talking about it kind of from right to back to left, which I think would be typical of a gallery experience. As is modeled here, when you walk in, you will meet Wangechi Mutu's painting, The Bride Who Married a Camel's Head from 2009. Mutu engages with post-humanist themes through her work because of her depictions of the human body, especially like racialized women's bodies. Um, she uses collages to like splice together features from various people and of different genders and races, but also non-human imagery. Like in this painting, she has snakes coming out of the figure's head, and this use of collage evokes feelings of multiplicities and hybridities, which is really important to post-humanist ideologies. Beside the painting, off to the corner, is Liebel's Cyborg. This specific cyborg is Cyborg W3, which was made in 1998. Like all of the other cyborgs in Liebel's Cyborg series, it would be hung from the ceiling. I feel like this work has a more obvious relationship with post-humanist ideas, just simply because the concept of the cyborg is often explored, because it depicts a growing relationship with humans and technology. Um, this is like an actual dematerialization of the human flesh, kind of a ship of Theseus situation where you have people questioning, whether it's our bodies that make us human or it's our consciousnesses. It's also heavily like feminist, like they're symbols of feminism, mostly because of Donna Haraway's A Cyborg Manifesto, just kind of exploring themes of, if you can augment your body in a certain way, or you kind of become genderless, then you can kind of escape like these really rigid gender structures. However, Liebel kind of breaks this kind of specific like feminist kind of cyborg archetype by like making a very hyper feminine cyborg, which I think is really interesting. And um, she also talks a lot about how people desire immortality, which I feel really works well with post-humanist themes. Just because, again, it's desiring more than what the human body can provide. And she does this through her sculpture work, where these figures look very futuristic, but they also are very reminiscent of ancient Greek and Roman sculptures, like Venus de Milo, which gives them a very strong sense of timelessness. Yeah, and then also the the feminism in the work, I think, works really well with Mutu's work. Just depictions of like a very exaggerated woman's body is very interesting to me. Relating to this idea of timelessness, on the back wall, you'll walk into Hiroshi Sugimoto's, one of the pictures from his theater series. The picture that I chose specifically is from Paramount Theater in Newark, which was taken in 2015. Um, I would want this photo to be blown up and printed on the wall, which would act as a backdrop for Matthew Barney's Cremaster cycle films. To me, Sugimoto kind of subtly engages with posthumanism. Um, most of his posthumous kind of like themes come through the sense of temporality in his work. He uses long exposure to blur time in his photos. Also, the subject matter in his theater series, which feature abandoned movie theaters, show spaces for people without people in them, which evokes kind of like feelings of like ghosts, and also just like technology, but there's no one there to operate it, right? Also, the imagery alludes to film, which I'll talk about in the next section. It's like features people, but they're not actually physically present in these films, right? Um, which, their souls are captured, but they do not represent reality, which suggests a kind of sense of transience and, again, a ghostliness, in all a separateness from the human body. And that's why I think it works. And then on a mounted television screen, right in front of Sugimoto's work, I would have all of Matthew Barney's The Cremaster Cycle films, which were filmed from 1994 to 2002, playing in numerical order by title. The Cremaster Cycle films, which are named after the Cremaster Michael, which raises and lowers the testicles. Um, it's it's about, like, it illustrates in a very strange way the process of sexual differentiation in the embryonic stage. And I think it's also about transitioning and metamorphosis in general. The film, they concern themselves with really abstract depictions of the human body. And I think these films also explore a gendered analysis about posthumanism, just like Mutu and like Boole. Um, like, concepts of sex and gender are transcended in the kind of stage, like the in between stage, of again, when we're starting to um, change our sexualities in the womb, right? Um, um, and I think it shows, like, a deconstruction of limiting gender structures by kind of presenting a sense of, like, in betweening, right? And this deconstruction, I think, aligns with post-humanist ideologies, just because it's kind of arguing for a really not rigid structure. It's saying that kind of, you know gendered identity is maybe more complicated than, just man or woman, right? Lastly, on the left wall, Wim de Voyer's original cloaca sculpture from the 2000s will sit. It is a sculpture that simulates the digestive system. Like Boole's work, it features a sculpture that, like, uses mechanical and robotic visuals to loosely represent a human body. And like Barney's piece, the work simulates a process that the human body undergoes in an abstract way. I also think that Mangechi Mutu's work, relates to it, because it shows how multiple small parts can make up, like, an entire, like, structure. And so that's Nobody. All of these pieces, I think they explore posthumanism and posthumanist bodies through various lenses, but I think all of them really evoke a feeling that something superhuman is being depicted. They're trying to get at, what makes up people, more than just physical forms.